Hi, this is John again. This is my Lab 16 of the TI-RSLK, the Robot System Learning Kit road test I'm doing for Element 14. And in this one, what they have you set up to do is we have the encoders. You can't see it, but they're right here on the motor. The encoders are on the motors, and I also have my Nokia display up here to show some values. I know it's kind of hard to see. I've been trying to adjust that, but it's just the way it is. But what you're set up to do is to set up a couple of tasks, and then you set up to timer 3 to do a collect or capture when there's an event that occurs as these motors run. So as the motor turns, it's going to trigger an event from the motor controller through the controller board and on up to the MSP432, and they're using port 10 pin 4 and port 8 pin 2 for each one of the motor controllers for each one of the motors. And so in the capture event, there's a couple of tasks that are passed in, and then these are basically these period tasks here, and inside here they calculate the period based on time and some values, and this information is being collected as the motor turns, and this will help to be able to control the speed and to set speed, and also if it's going too fast or going too slow, and you can adjust that. And one of the examples they have on here is you use a collect, and they go through a series of events. So as the time increases, this is basically just the value that they're incrementing. They set the duty cycle and they set the motor. So this is actually being triggered by another timer event, and then each time that timer goes off, it sets this collect, it sets a period, and then it sets it back to this value, and then that value gets adjusted in the other events. So I guess if done is 0, they'll set the period. So this is going to run, and I have it set up on here on this, and go ahead and reset that and then let it run. So as it runs, you can see the duty cycle under duty is being set, and then as the motors are turning, the other tasks are being set with the other timer, and it's collecting that information. So they're triggering an interrupt every time they go through, and it sets off an event, and then that's getting collected. They have another part of it that they're saving that off the flash, and that value you can go and utilize that, and they also do some calculations with it, because as you can see, the values are pretty random. Sorry. And so the values are pretty random, and it kind of goes up and down. So that's a value you don't want to really use, so you have to do some calculations to get basically an average to find out what you're doing. So that's pretty much it for this particular lab. It's going to go through, and it's going to run through this, and it's going to go, as you see, it's gone up, it's gone down, and then eventually when the time value reaches 500, it'll stop. And it's been saving all this information into these buffers. I guess I could have shown that as well over here. So there's a speed buffer, it's doing a calculation on that, and there's a period buffer, and there's a duty cycle buffer that's collecting that information. And then here, if it reached 500, which it did, or if you hit one of the bump switches, then it'll stop. And then it also stops timer A1, which is the one that's actually running this collect, and so it doesn't run anymore. And that's pretty much it for Lab 16. Based on time, I'm not going to go any further with that, and then we'll see what happens next. So I've got just a few more to go, and basically I'm over time, but I'm going to try to complete all that. So there you go.